2 friendlies in their window, a draw against Iceland, which I think for me, the disappointing part of it was that we didn't learn anything. It was probably more of the same in terms of the games, but then a 5-1 win over South Korea, to which a lot of us would say, well, Canadians at least would say, yeah, I think this is. I don't think it's been an interesting year for women's soccer in Canada. It's been an interesting year for soccer in Canada, football overall. Every time you think that there's a moment of peace, there's a new controversy. And when you think that controversy's ended, apparently there's 8 more chapters of it in the book. We're not here to talk about that. That's another day. But I think on the pitch, to me, especially because of this 5-1, and it's not because of this, but this 5-1 game, to me, you had an own goal, which was caused by Olivia Smith, Marie Alidou in the 52nd. Olivia Smith scoring the same goal she scored U15, U17, U20, Penn State, Ben Sporting, Liverpool, Canada. You see Vanessa Gilles gain a goal, Adrienne Leon gain a goal. I think for this Canadian program, the conversation is 2025 the year that you actually transition? Right? They've played with 3 different coaches to end the year. No, they were not, Jason. But I think the conversation we had before 2023's World Cup, where we said, hey, they held on to a generation, maybe a window too long, and they pay for it. Now we know why, because every coach has their favorites. Some coaches have a top 10 they like. Bev had a top 25. So if you weren't in a top 25, you had no shot. But the youth that's starting to emerge with this side, specifically the Olivia Smiths of the world, the Alidou, who was not that young but still gained opportunities. I think the players, and though she did get a start, the players like Deanne Rose, the players like, and I don't think it's fair to put Janine Becky in this conversation, but I'll put her in it. The players like even a Jade Riviere, who came on, got hurt, and then came off. The conversation is there are enough young players that are starting to push them that it's no longer a conversation of, oh, let them play. No, if they are, we have the depth. If the player is playing well, you go. I think this window for me, they clearly missed Jade Rose, who was out with an injury. Kadisha Buchanan tore her ACL, so she's out for an extended period of time. But without at least that additional center back, they missed going to the back 3, which really left them a little bit uncomfortable. I know their coaches like playing the 4-3-3, but I think for Canada, it is a conversation of which players where do you move players? How do you get them through? I know Olivia Smith started up as the 9. Where is that where you want to keep her as? Does that simplify your game enough where you just play her as your outstanding 9? You leave a Haidema on the bench. You leave an Evelyn Vienne who has a little bit more pace and is good on those runs if you're going to be defending. There's a lot of fun questions that they can have, but if they actually have those conversations and try it out, I think we could see a transition to a hungry, very interesting Canadian side going to 2025 because, again, those Deanne, Adriana, even I'll put Adriana there, Leon there as well, though they're scoring. I think the youth are starting to come in this program. They've been there, but I think they're starting to push and have the conversation and say, we belong in these top 23, top 26s as much as these players do, and we're going to continue to show. And I think that's great for a coach. Give me hungry young players and veterans who have to maintain their playing style so that the decision is always tough versus with Bev where it was just, well, if I've picked you once, you're pretty much in it. So we're kind of there. But 5-1 and then 0-0 of the Canadian games that you saw. What are some of your takeaways, JD? Just for that.
I'm very much impressed with Canada. And as what you had said the other day, since Canada moved to the back 3, because what a lot of people don't realize with the back 3, situation, it's when you have a long-term plan. Most of the times people use it as this. When you have a long-term plan, because you don't have time, because you have immediate games coming and stuff, you want to get the closest thing to get players closer to each other. Because that's what back 3 actually does, is to bring everybody closer to each other. So the passing could have worked well. So they could have gotten familiar with each other faster. And that's what I thought that they did. Now they are going a little bit expansive in the last 2 games. And I want to say that the turnover rate from Olivia Smith, Rose, they really look comfortable in these systems. I still believe that they need bigger teams to these 2 games that they played. I don't think they are at this. Even the Iceland game, they were better than Iceland to me in the game. So I think that both of them, they should have won those games. The Spain game, absolutely not. They weren't better. I watched that game 2 times. They weren't better. But there is very few teams will look better than Spain. And I want to say that they are still creating chances, even though Spain creating 2 times the chances as they create 1. They are still looking like they're fighting. And this Canada team have something different about them. You know, I think that this Canada team might be the toughest team in Canada, period, of all teams. Like, they just have this different vibes about them, you know, especially from the Olympics. So I did these quality players to it. I think they are going to be tough. And it's closer. It's closer now. They can pop up on any day and beat United States any day. That's what I'm seeing with them now. Just like how I saw that they were stuck in with against France and got the win on the day. And sadly, I thought that they should have gone further in the Olympics. Just a little penalty shootout problems, you know. But they're adding the right pieces. And they have 2 systems that are very, very strong. All right. And they have quality players as well. So I do see Canada keeping their second spot in CONCACAF, and they can beat United States on any given day while they're in their transition period.
I think so as well. I think, again, not having Kadisha is going to be painful because they will lack that back 3 opportunity. They can still play a back 3 with Shadorsky as well as Vanessa Gilles, but I think they need.
But they don't have so much options after that.
They
so
don't.
Are you going to change to a 2 immediate after someone get injured out of the back 3? That's why it's never good to use. That's why you don't. Once you have 3 center backs, you don't go 3 at once.
They need a coach is what they need, honestly. No, but like, I'm not even like saying it meanly, but like, they've played with what it feels like 1 billion coaches to end the year. The best thing for them for 2025 is if in January Kevin Blue comes and says, okay, we have a coach, because I mean, not to get into all the off field, like, they don't have a U17 coach anymore. They don't have a national team coach. Their old U15 coach is banned for a year. Like, their women's system needs an overhaul, but they need a national team coach yesterday. So who can at least walk in and say, hey, this is the team. I'm going to come in. I'm going to evaluate. I'm going to call people and go, because right now, I think there's a lot of players who pushed with potential and have kind of stalled out a little bit. Like a Julia Grosso coming back in the NWSL, I think getting some minutes will help her. Jessie Fleming coming back, getting minutes will help her. But I think they need a coach. So because they went from Andy Spence, who played a back 3, they will Sydney Tai, who goes a back 4. They had Bev, who has if you're in the 25, you're in the 25. Like, they need a one voice that is talking to them and growing, because it's been a year and a half for them. And you can only run off of that us against the world mentality for so long before, okay, tactics now, okay? You can come into a game and want to just burn the field. And believe me, I'll bring the oil. We'll burn the field together. But they need a coach, just someone who can at least stabilize them from there and move forward. But yeah, I mean, Jason's been asking me about players and such, but like the young forwards that are coming for Canada, they keep on having conversations. Is it Haidema? Is it Vienne? To me, I think it's Vienne out of the 2 of them. But you have Malouf, who we've all forgotten about. She's out here. Chukwu is still out there, right? You still have Jade Rose's little sister who made her debut, who's out there. You have Olivia Smith you can use out there. You have options. And so now it's the question of, you have a year basically between just qualifying for the Gold Cup W and such, where they can figure this out, get a coach, and figure it out. And I think that's, to me, their biggest thing. Where they see an Olivia Smith playing, I still think I like her as a 10. Like and I made this comparison the other day. Like she's like a Jonathan David 10, where she's not really a 10, but she's really the second striker in that setup. I think that's where you can get the best out of an Olivia Smith. Just because in the buildup, she's still good. She still has a head on her where she can find the right passes. But as that second leaking, if you have a 9 that's dragging their center backs to create space, then she comes in at the top of the 18. The one thing we know about her is, remember that U17s, she will shoot. She will shoot the ball anywhere, anytime. Give her space. She's letting it go, and she's going to put it somewhere. It'll hit the frame or hit someone's shin, and it'll be painful. But that's her in a nutshell. And I think that is what they really need to look on and work through. So we'll do that there. Warren Wester, good to see you. Canada's getting better for players competing for positions. Smith is getting much better players for her football in England that she does. Me and my conversation with Jason was there. And then Warren saying again, gets your best 11 for Canada. It's harder to, as they pick the talent pool is deep. When healthy, it's tough to do. I do agree. Heidema is a 10 and a 9's body. I think Heidema, to use the male comparison, Heidema to me feels like a Victor Boniface. Right? She can play the 9. She has the body for it. But in the times, like I thought about it when they had injuries out wide and they put her out wide as like that in a 4-4-2 outside midfielder, right? Attacking or on the outside of an attacking trio. And she isn't terrible. I think deep lying playmaking and passing, because the height and the vision, she's a good passer from deep. But then it's just in your build-up. In the build-up, she has moments. At leading the line, I think she's a good presser. But I think the comparison for her is like a Victor Boniface, where it's he body of a 9, but wants to kind of play out wide a little bit. But that's how I see it. Do you think that's fair, or am I crazy for that comparison?
I don't think you're crazy. We have a lot of those players because the game is evolving so fast. We realize that a lot ending up putting in positions that they are not comfortable with, but are want to play because they have so much skill set. People wrongfully diagnose that's the position they should be playing. And if somebody just be more understandable, they would just put them out there, because if you have speed, you have dribbling ability, and you have strength, but you rely on certain things out wide, why not put them out wide? Because majority of the times when you're trying to use them as a 9, if your system don't try to play with wide wingers, so that means that 9 becomes a 9.5, that they play more attacking midfielder options. You have to play a back to wall striker.
Yeah.
So you're going to see the limitations. That means your dribbling gets out and your speed gets out. You have to start use your strength and some of the times your passing ability, and you're coming up against bigger physical defenders, and your game is going to get off, and you're just going to start a bad games and then go down the road. And that's what I saw for Idema sometimes. That's what I saw for Boniface, and that's why both of them actually suffer. You know.
Yeah, no, agreed with that. And I think I think they both suffer from the aspect of they have the physical traits of someone they say, oh, 6'2".
Yeah, you have to play there. Yeah.
And I think that's what happened with both of them, to agree, though. Their body says no, but their coach says yes in that sense. Warren Webster, what's your views on the goalkeeping pool? Outside of their top 2, I think they're fine. I know they played their third goalkeeper basically a game, and she was not the strongest on her feet in some moments, decision making. But I think from a goalkeeping standpoint, Canada has enough threes that you don't really need to worry about it. Whether you're looking at Anna Karpenko, if you're looking at I just forgot it. But between Karpenko and others, I think Lysiane is a fine third goalkeeper. If you're arguing about third goalkeepers, I'm not really it's not too big of a serious conversation because Sheridan's had the goal. D'Angelo, I think, is better on her feet that way. Just doesn't have the same height. Like Sheridan is 5'7", 5'8". D'Angelo is 5'5". So those top bin, the goal that Mexico scores against them in Toronto when they draw 1-1, I mean that's across the frame of the goal, and that's if her positioning is a little bit off on that one. But I think if she's a little bit tall, that's your one concern. But with her feet, I think she's fine. I think developing, but I think there's enough young ones between Lattier, Henning at the youth levels. They'll be coming up. I don't think Canada has to worry about youth goalkeepers. It's just the same conversation with goalkeepers anywhere, which is you want your goalies to be playing. And so I think D'Angelo's getting minutes, Sheridan's getting consistent starts, Lysiane's getting spot starts here and there. So whoever your third goalkeeper is, I think you kind of work with that way. Labbé or Sheridan. Sheridan to me right now is the best goalkeeper that they have. Labbé is done with her career, so I think we'll see how it kind of flows from there. But I feel good, but again, it's a transition year for them. They have to figure it out and kind of go from there. But I like what Canada did in their 2 games. Wish they would have rotated more in the first game just to discover more, but I liked their rotation in the second. I will say though, I love Jade Riviere, but her lack of availability is going to be the thing that keeps her off this roster. And it sucks when you see a player continue to get injured and always get knocks. It's a bit stylistically how she plays. But if she's healthy, she's starting where Gabrielle Carl is starting, right there. She's your right fullback. But because she's injured, Gabby Carl has been able to come in and take that spot. And if she's not there, Janine Becky, your play her everywhere player, can start in that spot as well. So I think Jade Riviere, she really needs a year to just get healthy. She needs to be healthy, and I think that's why I'm saying it, Jason. It's not that she's a bad player, but the best ability is availability. But yeah, it's just that she's always hurt. She's a player that we're going to look back and say the potential was there, but maybe wasn't healthy enough to play. But we'll have that conversation as we move on. Guys, we are going to wrap it up here. We will be back probably next week to talk a little bit more because we're in December, which means year end, talking about all the fun things to come and to go. But guys, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Make sure you guys leave a like on this. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. We're about 14 away from 1,000. So you get me to 1,000 before this year ends. Let me start 2025 with 1,000 and we go from there. But guys, thank you so much for being here. If you're on the rewatch, you know the deal. Leave your comments in the comments below. And until next time, guys, we'll just say bye-bye for now.